with the new blood, we gonna switch to some blood that got spilled with the Jake Paul Jacob fight. It happened this past Saturday on Netflix. It was an interesting fight to say the least. I had to rewatch it just because it was such tumultuousness. But I'm gonna read this real quick from CBS. Joshua results. AJ knocks out the social media star. As expected, Anthony Joshua knocked out Jake Paul in Miami on Friday night. What was not expected is that it took Joshua until round 6 to finish off the influencer turned boxer. The fight was ugly from the jump, with Paul getting on the proverbial bicycle and moving laterally among the ropes, forcing Joshua to chase him around the ring. The strategy was effective enough as Paul did not take clean shots round after round. It allowed him to have an argument to win 1 or 2 of the 4 opening rounds. Round 5 is where reality struck for Paul, as Joshua was finally able to land a few clean shots, which proved enough to hurt the smaller Paul. A left from Joshua buckled Paul's legs and allowed Joshua to pounce and score his first knockdown of the fight. A second knockdown followed as Joshua landed a right hand counter. Paul managed to escape the round, but he looked exhausted from the constant movement and hurt from Joshua's power shots. Round 6 didn't last long as Joshua landed a bomb of a right hand that dropped Paul. Paul was unable to beat the referee's count, and the fight ended at the 131 mark in round 6. Man, what you think about this fight, man?
You know, I did watch some parts of this fight, especially the end. And, a lot of the things I heard about this going into the fight, and a lot of it could have been jokes because, listen, Jake Paul, as you know, is a very controversial figure in terms of how people actually hold him in terms of seriousness. I mean, hey, if you've even seen the Sora AI wave, I mean, that guy's on there getting turned into a balloon, getting turned into a car, saying crazy things. But at the same time, he's also one of the smartest people in the creator space, letting himself be able to be doing that. He also is now a fighter, which I think is good for you marketing. But this fight, he looked withered. He looked slow. He looked out of shape. I don't think he prepared well for this fight. I mean, you could have seen whatever on social media, but what I was reading and what I've been seeing on Reddit, on Instagram, and just on a few news outlets is that he wasn't ready. He was out of shape. And Anthony Joshua is a fighter who is also very controversial, has dealt with a lot of backlash, a lot of hate. So this was a very good win for his reputation. I don't think it's a huge win in terms of like record or a league, just because this felt like more of a celebrity fight. But at the same time, Jake Paul, the most iconic moment from this fight was that picture. Let me see if I can pull it up. Jake Paul getting his jaw broken. The double jawbreaker was a sight to see. I have seen some crazy boxing pictures, but I'm going
He got knocked out.
He got knocked the hell out, and it was something that you either loved to see or hated to see as a martial arts fan. And let me pull that up right now. My computer unfortunately is acting a little slow, but in the picture it is pretty clear.
Okay. It's okay.
It is pretty clear what the result here is. And I mean,
his
I think
jaw looked like a cartoon character, man.
This picture kind of just conveys the general message here. I mean, can you see it? Is it on the screen?
Yeah, we can see it, coach.
Yeah, you see right here, you got my mouse. And let me just say, this is just like, you saw yourself, he looks like a cartoon character. And I mean, I think that picture conveys the message that is said about this fight. Jake Paul got his shit rocked. And I think that, he's still getting paid $100 million. He's really not losing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, he lost because he has a broken jaw now. And I mean, yeah, he lost a little bit of his dignity, but not a whole lot, to the point where I'd say, this was nuts. I think this was definitely something that was a viewer special. This was something that a lot of people wanted to watch. But Jake Paul, I actually thought he was going to win this fight. Actually, Jake Paul, if you don't know this, has a background in wrestling and has kind of been fighting his whole life in a sense. I mean, it was more folk style wrestling. Shout out to Ohio as a state, great wrestling state. Shout out to Logan too. They were both very good at it. But Jake Paul is somebody that is more of a name than someone you look for on the ring. He's a YouTuber. I mean, obviously, if you remember back when he was huge on YouTube back in the late 2010s, he has other controversy to his name, and I think that there's more of a narrative behind the fact that Jake Paul lost more than Anthony Joshua won.
Look, man, Jake Paul pays his fights, man. He pays for all these things. I'm not a personal fan of dude. I respect what he's done and what he's done for himself. It is admirable how he was able to build his brand to what it is. That's not something that you can necessarily buy to that degree in today's age. So that part, cool, you know? But these boxing, all these matches has been very suspect, you know, people getting paid allegedly X amount of dollars. I was at the Paul Tyson fight last year. I saw it up close and personal. I was on the floor. And that showed me everything I need to see right there. I mean, I've watched the fights on TV, but being there is just a spectacle, and the spectacle was a buildup. You know, this fight, honestly, this fight wasn't even supposed to happen. It was supposed to be Jake Paul and Devontae Davis, but that got canceled because some legal issues. And this fight was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie. Anthony Joshua was pulling punches like Tyson was. Tyson with that fight, he pulled so many punches in the first round. It was ridiculous. He had him on the ropes. And then after the first round happened, I don't know who got in his ear, but he just laid off after that. And then we got what we got. Paul's yeah, it was terrible, bro. Like I can't deal with this anymore. I'm glad Joshua got him, but at the same time, like he should have knocked him out in the first round if he wanted to be legit. And I know there was probably a money payoff saying, okay, we got to last this amount of long. Okay, it's time. But I don't believe it for a second. He shouldn't have lasted around. I mean, this guy, Anthony Joshua, has fought in the Olympics. Fought in the Olympics. He's a real boxer. He's a super heavyweight at that. Jake Paul, he's not tall enough to be heavyweight, for one. And for two, he just did it because he's trying to choke his ego and maybe, I don't even know what his goal was because it wasn't his original fight. And I just think he needed to have a fight in general because they were on Netflix's dime. Once this fight got canceled with Gervonta Davis, which Jake Paul was the heavier one, and that wasn't a fair fight, then now they needed to find something. And this was the next big thing. Well, if I'm going to be way bigger, then maybe I can pivot to being the smaller guy, and then that'll bring people because it wasn't supposed to happen in the first place. The people that Jake Paul has fought is Annie Gibson, who I've never heard of dude before in my life, and Eason Gibb, who he won by a knockout. He fought Nate Robinson, NBA player, Ben Askren, MMA fighter, Tyron Woodley, MMA fighter, who shout out Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, both Mizzou people. Anderson Silva, a UFC guy, Tommy Fury, who he lost to, which is a boxer, Nate Diaz, a UFC fighter, and then he fought these other dudes, Andre August, Ryan Bullion, who he won as both. I've never heard of them. They don't even have pictures by their names, or I'm looking at up. Mike Perry, who's a boxer / fighter. I've never heard of him either. Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez, which he's an old boxer at that. And then Anthony Joshua. So either you're fighting no names who we've never heard of or people who aren't even boxers like that. So, long story short, this fight was a sham. Netflix and Jake Paul got a deal going on right now. I feel like it's a 3-fight deal, and I think he has one more fight to fulfill, and then they can kind of get out of that. That's kind of what I think. And yeah, man, this fight was garbage.